Hey guys, Brant here. We're in the studio today shooting products on white. So we're going to show you our entire lighting setup for that, and we're going to show you a little trick that we use to get our product shots to look like this with no drop shadow in camera. Let's get started. All right, we only have two lights today. First light is our key light that we've got kind of overhead coming down at about a 45, and we have a nice square softbox on that, no grid, just nice soft light that will wash over the product cleanly. The second light is our background light. We're placing that directly under the product and shining it on the background with a light that's about a stop higher, and we're just using a parabolic dish to kind of control the light, but we want as much light as we can get out of that so we can get that background to go pure white. So we're only using two lights, but we're also using white surfaces to reflect more light in so we get a nice even light all the way around the product. First one is this foam core down below. That's reflecting light up in case we have a product with a curved edge or something like that where we can get some light up underneath it. It also serves dual purpose. It's blocking the background light from spilling up onto the product. So it keeps it from getting washed out by the background light. The other two are these two white boards here, and they could be any piece of foam core, any white reflective surface, a pop-up reflector, it really wouldn't matter. You just need something there to carry some of that light in on either side. And depending on the product, sometimes we pull these out because we want them to go a little bit shaded on one side, and sometimes we leave them in. But we've got a lot of latitude here as to how we can move these around and get the product to look the way we want it to look. The other type of modifiers that we're using are flags. So we're going to block some light to control spill. The first one would be this one back here, and we'll raise and lower that because you get a lot of light bouncing off of this big white wall. It's like its own reflector. You can see we've separated the product from the wall a little bit so we don't have too much of that spill coming up. This can be raised and lowered depending on the height of the product to also block some spill from the higher part of the wall. This one on the top actually cuts light from the key light. Sometimes we have a product that's lighter or shinier on top, and you still want to get it lit, but that particular part of the light is hitting the top, makes it too shiny, too white, too blown out. And if it's light colored or white and you've got it against a white background, the last thing you want to do is blow out that white, or you'll just lose the top of your product. So these kind of modifiers, having flags and ways to block light, are also equally important as having light. And now for that little trick that I mentioned earlier, we are shooting the product on plexiglass. So you can see here we have the product just sitting on the plexiglass, and when you shoot from an angle at the glass and your background is light enough, you won't see the glass at all. It'll become invisible. You'll see the end, but that can be cropped out and that's no big deal. This gives you a product that's sitting on a white background with absolutely no drop shadows. The lens choice for today is the Sigma 50mm art lens, and I chose that for a couple of reasons. One, I chose the art lens because it's nice and sharp and I'm going to get a good looking product shot with that. I also chose 50mm as my focal length because we're shooting a product where we've got some depth to it. We've got the lenses up here and we've got the arms going back, so far, and we want to make sure everything's in focus. As far as the camera settings go, I needed that f-stop to be closed down enough so I had enough depth of field so my product didn't go out of focus. So that turned out to be f10 at this distance with this focal length. All right, so we got everything set up. Let's go ahead and get a shot and see how it looks. All right, so you can see on this shot, guys, we've got nice, even white around the product. We do have some shadows on the edges, but that doesn't matter because we're gonna crop this out. You can see that our f-stop effectively gave us a pretty good depth of field, so everything is pretty sharp. You can also see on the histogram here that the whites are pushed all the way over to the right, which is exactly what we want. Now, this shot looks a little bit light, but I know because of my histogram, I've got all the data that I need there. I can bring down the shadows a little bit and the blacks down on this a little bit, and we will have a perfect, pristine product image.